Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Moments with Myra. I'm your host, Myra, and today we're talking about natural wellness, self care, and finding healing through the gifts of natural products. Our guest today is Beverly Davis, who believes in taking a more natural approach to health and wellness through alternative remedies, essential oils, and handmade self care products. She's also discovered a passion for sewing, creating beautiful menstrual rice packs that offer women a natural way to find comfort during their monthly cycles, along with self care bags designed to encourage rest, healing, and self love. Beverly, welcome to Moments with Myra. I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you so much, Myra. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely, honey. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into natural health and wellness.
Growing up, which I grew up right here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, I wasn't, good health wasn't prominent in my environment. So it was a self-taught journey. I'm thankful that I never had to interfere with anything as far as illness myself. That taught me, I just kind of paid attention to those around me, in particular, my mom and dad. So my mom, she was doing pretty well. She graduated college. She was working a pretty stable job, but then she suffered a stroke.
Okay.
At that time, she had 7 kids.
Wow.
So stress was definitely a huge factor in that. So that was the first thing. And then, of course, later in life, seeing her go through her struggles, also working in healthcare, I saw that side, the inside of what goes on with not taking care of your health or not putting it first. So really just real life experience is what really got me into wellness, specifically natural wellness. Yeah.
So, was there another specific experience other than your mom getting sick that changed the way you looked at traditional medicine?
One thing I noticed, Myra, working in healthcare is that, and I'm sure we all noticed it, that when you're talking about Western medication, wellness, a lot of times it's not really scratching the surface. It's really solving a problem temporarily, while also in this at the same time could be destroying something else internally that could then onset more medication.
Mhm.
So it's just a pipeline of destruction, really, when you look at it. So
I agree with that 100%. And unfortunately, I believe that people of color, especially, go through those changes with the medication that affects something else. So you're on another medication and so on and so forth. I remember growing up, my grandparents weren't sickly. They grew a lot of their foods and stuff. Everything they need, my grandmother had in the kitchen. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
also, too, I know that a lot of times when you are sick, you go to the hospital, you see a doctor. Well, doctors know everything. They're supposed to be able to cure and fix everything. And unfortunately, a lot of our older generation, I think not so much now because the older generation is starting to be my age, which which is a lot more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
We're a lot less to just go by what somebody says. But I think a lot of times too with the older generation, some of them weren't as educated as others. And so when they came in contact with an educated, quote unquote, educated doctor, nurse, or someone along those lines, which unfortunately a lot of times were of another race, they tend to listen to it. I think that what they're saying is Bible
Mhm.
because of their education. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
really, really like that you are kind of going back to our old ways, so to speak, to promote healing and just
Yeah,
healthiness and continuing, honestly, honey, to do it the way that our ancestors did. Because
exactly.
I
Exactly.
always say that. I say, okay, my grandmother used to cook with real lard and all of these things,
Yes.
and then make soap, the lye soap, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And so
Yeah.
now all of these things that our grandparents used to do, they say is not good for us. But my
Yeah.
grandparents didn't have high cholesterol. They didn't have any of the
Exactly.
issues that
Exactly.
we have now. So it's
Yes.
really, really good to see somebody, especially somebody young from this generation, wanting to embrace that and kind of each one teach one, kind of make it possible for everybody to understand that there are other alternatives,
Yeah.
and that you don't always have to do medicine,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes just tap into the natural stuff. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate you being here and us having this conversation.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that one thing that you like to use for your everyday life and healing also is essential oils. So how have essential oils become a part of your everyday life?
Well, essential oils really came about when I was starting a business called Solid Studios, which I think you said that was the first time you actually noticed. Well,
Yes.
because I was kind of diving into research to prepare myself to present to people.
Okay.
And I started to learn things that I didn't know. So with essential oils, not only does it help with pain, discomfort, but I think if you are uh, kind of intertwining it with your everyday things, putting it topically on your skin after you shower, things like that, it has magnificent long-term effects where it's gonna get you in a holistic type of well-being where it's going to prevent you from even having to have additional doctor's appointments, spending money on medication, specialists, hospital visits. Those stuff will be unnecessary because you're not going to have to do that. And it's a wide variety too. And there's so one thing I do want to make people aware of, they're so I want to say strong. So you have to be careful about how you take them, how you put them on your skin
Mhm.
and things like that, because they're just as strong as the medication you get either over the counter or through prescription. So that's how good they work. I think people are just miseducated or just don't know enough about it because it's not in the mainstream media. It's not
Yeah.
something that a lot of people talk about, though it is increasing, since 2020. I'm happy to see that. But yeah, essential oils are certainly magical in a sense of how it affects the body long term.
Yes, and I'm glad that you said to make sure that you're educated about using it, because I think so much now, you can Google, I have a headache. What do I need to use for that? But not doing your due diligence will also, maybe those essential oils, you might have a reaction with something else that you're using or
Yes.
something else that you're taking. So please, guys, make sure that you reach out to someone that's knowledgeable. Don't be on WebMD or Google trying to figure out stuff for your aches and pains and then end up making it something worse than it has to
Yeah.
be. Make sure that you have someone knowledgeable that can help you to decide if that's even the best resource for you
Mhm.
and what it will affect if it's mixed with other things.
Right.
So now let's shift gears just a little bit. Sewing is such a beautiful skill, and I know that you're newly interested in it. So tell me a little bit about that journey and how you started off with your sewing.
Yeah, so now it is new in a sense. I just restarted. Now I initially started sewing back in 2020 with COVID. I was working in a nursing home at the time. And so I started making masks for my residents. So it was more like a fun thing to do to give back to the residents that I was taking care of because it was such a mess at the time. So it
Mhm.
started that way, but then I had so many people like reach out to me about it. So many people were interested in it. And it's a really good way to just consume your time, so that's really how I got started back in 2020 with COVID. But here lately, I did get back into it because I don't know what it is. I don't know if you are like more into astrology or anything like that, but I feel like I went through a transition recently after my mom passed last November.
Mhm.
Um, and I just been really trying to get into things that represent me more.
Mm-hmm.
And so sewing was one of those things. I did start roller skating for the first time, but it's really fun, good exercise. But really just started to looking at myself inwardly, holistically, getting back to things that were me originally before traumatic events and all of that took place. And so that's what I wanted to do. And I also wanted to kind of stay in that wellness space. So I wanted to combine the two of them and be able to offer something that would benefit those that receive it.
And I want to say my condolences to you for the loss of your mom last
Thank
year.
you.
Having lost a parent myself years ago, the one thing about it that I do think is that it switches your thinking
It does.
about everything,
Mhm.
about how you look at everything, how you do everything. It does make you become a little bit more introspective because even though you have all of these people around you and people that love you, it's just a void that you can't
Yes.
feel. So I really, really like the idea that you got back to you,
Yes.
taking care of you, and doing things that make you happy. I think that that's something that your mom would love, and it's a beautiful way for you to
Absolutely.
honor her. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
give you kudos for that. And
Thank
also,
you.
too, with you combining that with wellness,
Mhm.
that's even more because, like you were saying, you started sewing back in 2020. Honey, those masks were the thing. You know, I had
Mhm.
all kinds of different styles, and I was
Right,
like hunting people
right,
trying. I
right.
was hunting people trying to find me a stylish mask. And so I'm glad that you've been able to kind of hold on to that and stick with it because me, I'm impatient. So I would love to want to sew, but I don't have the patience to do so. So I really, really give you
Understandable.
kudos
Yeah.
for that. I really, really do. And the
Thank you.
roller skating too, because that's another thing I used to do back in the day. But honey,
Really? Wow.
yes, but at this age, I'm not gonna try it because I
Anything's
can't break no
possible,
bones.
Miss Myra. Anything. If that's what you want to do, you definitely can do it.
Well, look, we'll talk about that off camera. We might have to go out for a little roller skating, little roller skating date to see,
Right, right.
if I still got it. But I used to
Mhm.
love the roller skating. It is great exercise. It's a
Yes.
good way to take your mind off of things with the music playing, and you just kind of
Yes,
free.
yes.
So I really, really commend you for that as well.
Thank you.
Now, what has someone taught you about patience, creativity, and caring for others?
Well, I would say with sewing, I've always been pretty patient. Like I've always been a really patient person because I'm an introvert, so I don't
Okay.
really, I have a limit on what I take in, but now I do have two kids, so my patience has gotten a little thinner, but I'm still a very patient person.
Okay.
But as far as like the creativity and the caring for other people with creativity, I mean, just off rip, it's a way that you can take something that you mentally, see for yourself and create it with your bare hands. I think that's incredible. But also, what I try to do is really focus on conveniences. I want to sell
Mm,
things that are convenient. So not necessarily the whole fashion thing. I'm not into fashion. But I do, like to sit down, think of something that could possibly be created to solve a problem. And then my hands get to work and I create it. And the feeling that you feel too after creating something is really fulfilling. It's like a dopamine that you want to chase over and over again. So
yeah,
a lot of creativity coming. Yeah.
that's cool. So now tell us about your menstrual rice packs. What are they and how do they work?
Yeah, so that is actually another thing that, as Black folk, we used to do back in the day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be really as simple as taking a sock, filling it with the rice, and tying it up, and you have a rice pack. But I wanted to make something that was convenient for specifically the menstrual cycle. So for women, that discomfort I mean, we already work in a very odd way during our menstrual cycle. So many
Yeah.
changes and transition and flushing that's going on during that time. So I wanted to create something that just gave us our cells back, because as far as me, when I feel pain and the cramping, I'm a different person as far as my attitude,
Mm-hmm.
my interests, what I can put up with. And I don't like that because, like I said, I'm typically very patient, especially when I see it spilling off to my kids. So I just, and it's quick, once you heat it up, you put it on, it's very quick because they have that moist heat that comes from that rice kind of circulates into the skin quicker, and it just relaxes your muscles very nicely. So, and you don't have to put anything in your body that's going to possibly mess with your kidneys or something. So
Yes. Yes. And we know that that good old ibuprofen and that good old Motrin and Tylenol
it's good
can
for the
have
moment.
effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good for the moment, but it builds up. So
Exactly, exactly. So, what are some of the benefits of using the rice packs instead of relying solely on just medication? Now, I know you were talking about it helps with the pain. Are
mhm.
there any other benefits, or do you recommend like you can use that along with medication or try to just use the rice packs alone? Do you use it as more like a heating pad type
Like
situation or
Yeah, just like a heating pad. Now you can freeze it as
okay,
well. Now when you do freeze it, if you were to make one yourself, after you freeze it, you don't want to switch over very quickly and heat it. You can heat it after, but you have to let it completely thaw out. But
okay,
but anything that you can think of that when you think of heat, that solves that problem. So a lot of times it's not a lot of times it's not that temporary pain. So
gotcha.
breaking your leg, or stuff like that. That's more so coolness. So you can use it for that if you put it in the freezer and cool it. But as far as the heat side, um, a lot of chronic pains, like I said, the menstrual, or if you have cramping in your leg, your neck. I know I used it for my jaw when I had an abscess and I had a lot of swelling. I used it in my jaw back and forth with the cold to kind of get the blood flowing and pumping. So that helped as well. Headaches, even the eye area. You can put
Mhm.
essential oils in it, which is one thing I love to do, combine it with essential oils and, make it something that's just relaxation after a long day, and just make it a part of your self-care. It doesn't have to always be for pain and discomfort, but it's a lot of uses for the rice packs.
And I like, honey, that you had mentioned self-care because that's something that we as women do
Yeah,
not do
we
at
like it
all. Yeah.
tremendously.
Yes. And so we
Yeah.
definitely need all the ideas of what
Mhm.
we can do for self-care. So
Absolutely.
now, why do you believe women need to give themselves permission to slow down and practice self-care during their menstrual cycles?
Well, for one, because of all the changes we're going through, like,
Yes.
have some pity on yourself and just relax. Like, I honestly feel like we shouldn't even work when we're on our menstrual because it's that
Yeah.
much of, a bodily change that's going on. So we are truly superheroes, not just from the birthing, but having to deal with that that natural release that's happening at that time and still have to go on with our life like
And
nothing's happening.
function.
Like
Yes.
now, supposedly, and as Black women, we for us, we have to kind of put more strength in it because we're known for being the angry, mean people. And so it's just, just be lenient, give yourself grace as you would someone else. See it as the bigger picture. You have one temple that you have for the rest of your life, and you want to take care
Mhm.
of it like you would a newborn baby. So just, yeah, it's important to be still and slow down. Now, I do want to also add in, Myra, because the mental health part of it too is very, very serious because the mental health is really what drives other illness to the body. And so
Mhm.
making sure that your mind is as calm and clear, and if you can, quiet. Not everybody can do that, but if you can get it quiet, take having the menstrual, I think that's the time, just from Mother Universe or God, that's the time that we were given to be still and
Yeah.
just relax, and exist, and that's it.
And unfortunately, in the society that we live in, that's impossible to do.
Yeah, for a
So
lot.
I agree with you where when you say we have to try to make the time to do those things,
Mhm.
because I don't think a lot of people even realize what women go through during that time. I think sometimes they think that we're over exaggerating when we are crying like crazy, when we are angry,
Mhm.
all of those different emotions and stuff come up. It's so easily to just say, oh, she has her period. She has her period. But our bodies go through so many changes. And honestly, Beverly, I'm so glad that we're having the conversation about that, because back in my day, well, I say that like I'm 100 years old, but the 80s,
Yeah.
it wasn't, it's just like, okay, you got your cycle. Okay, you can not do gym or whatever the case may be, but they didn't realize how bad it affects a lot of us. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that the conversation is being had now about self care, not just during that time, all the time. But if you can't get any self care any other time, make sure during that week or
Yes,
whatever span it is that you take good care of yourself, because it's
exactly.
important.
It is
It's
very important.
important.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your self care bags. Your self care bags are such a thoughtful idea. What items do you include in them?
Well, I don't actually include like so the way that it's set up, I will have them available for things like when people purchase in person, they will have free self-care items to fill it with.
Okay.
But the purpose of a self-care bag is if you are somebody who's busy or if you have ADHD like myself, and so uh it's better when you have self-care bunched in one, basically. So
Okay.
like I was telling my sister, because I'm still making hers, and I'm actually fill hers up. But especially once she starts school, she's 9 years old. Um, Waking up in the morning becomes less hectic, less stressful when everything is in one place, in order, organized, and for her to get herself ready for the day. The
Mhm.
morning is not the time to be chaotic for anybody, especially the kids. So it's just really a way to keep self-care snugged away in something that's cute, that
Mhm.
you can take with you to wherever. You can keep it in the car, take it to sleepovers, keep it in the bathroom, wherever you want to keep it, even at work on the desk. But I think it's just imperative to have it as convenient as possible as busy women.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you're teaching your sister that at such a young age. I really, really do. Because I think it's so important, because the kids these days deal with so much more stress than we did. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of stress that they deal with. And I'm glad that the love from her big sister is flowing and showing her and preparing her,
Yeah,
for the future. Because like I said, going to school these days, honey, is not like it was
it's
when I
so
was going
stressful,
back.
isn't it?
It's
It is so
stressful. Some
stressful.
of the stuff that these kids go through or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, I
Yeah,
would have been catching a case,
yeah,
because it's ridiculous at this
yeah.
point.
But you
So
got to think too. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you got to think too how accessible things are for these kids. And with their developing minds, a lot of them aren't strong enough to always say no, especially if it's
Yes.
all around them and it looks like the cool thing to do.
Hmm.
So I think that's one thing that differ from you, me, and the kids today. Because even I didn't have things as accessible as they have it now. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy because I have a 16-year-old. Thank goodness though, I instilled to him early, as they say, teach a child in the younger years so they do not depart from those ways. And he has not.
Yes.
But he's good. I mean, I've had little things with him that I've had to correct, but it literally takes a conversation, to get to him so that he understands. But yeah, things are just too accessible to the younger kids. Too
Yes.
accessible.
Yes, they really, really are. And again, we stress the importance of self care and
Mm,
why it's more than just a luxury, it's a necessity. So
yes.
I think that sometimes we as women feel like we have to have permission. We have
Right.
to have permission to take a pause. We have to have permission to do anything that is self care for ourselves, to have a moment. Sometimes I tell my clients, when you come in, just have a moment. Don't go into wife mode, don't go into mommy mode. Just
Mm.
have a moment, even if that's you sitting outside in your car,
Yeah.
listening to some music, honey. Because when
Yeah.
I tell you, I will pull in the driveway and sit in
Yes.
the car. on my phone scrolling, listening to music about 30 minutes to get my whole life together.
Yes.
So it's okay for you to do that. It's okay for you to do that. Now, if someone wanted to begin a more natural wellness journey, where would you suggest they start?
Of course, I would say start with essential oils first.
Mhm.
Now, even before that, though, so even before that, like it's a lot that I can get into because I'm a Scorpio. Everything is deep to me. So, but I'm gonna try not to go too deep. But it starts with the mind first. So, but I'm not gonna get too far. I'm not gonna, delve into that. But it really starts with the mind and getting yourself, like you said, comfortable without permission to relax and focus on yourself and your needs at the moment. But I think the first thing that I can probably say, and this is just from my own experience,
Mhm.
is get your environment together, get your living
Yes.
situation together. If you have to fix your finances a little better to get comfortable, and to be able to sit with your situations, but get your environment together first because that affects your mind. So once you have
Yes.
your mind prepared, it becomes more easily for you to notice things that interest you because I can't really tell people exactly what to do.
I got to interrupt you right there, honey, because I want you to repeat that again about getting your mind together because I think that a lot of that is lost on all of us because we're like, how do I have time to be mindful? How do I have time, to do natural, holistic things because I feel like it takes so much more time to do it. I can't
Mhm.
do that. I got to get three kids together. I got to cook dinner. I got to do that. So please repeat that again about getting your mind together first because that's where it all
That is the
starts.
truth. Yes, it starts with your mental space, because I think the world that we see on the outside is just a replica of what we see innately. And so
Mhm.
once you get that inside to where it's comfortable, fulfilled, I think it makes it easier for you to look around you and see and appreciate the things that you have. So you're not stressed and allow yourself to slow down,
Yes.
but just to kind of dive into the scenario that you mentioned, if you are a mom who do have a lot of kids like my mom did, one of the things I noticed she do, which a lot of us do actually, is waking up early in the morning before the kids get up
Mhm.
and taking a moment to reflect on yesterday, to appreciate the day, to just peek in the kids room and stare at them before they get up and act maniac. But so I think that's just, that's one way for moms to do it because we are a lot to everybody in the daytime. So it's hard for us to squeeze ourselves into our own shell and focus on ourselves. But before the day starts and also when the day ends, I think those are two perfect times for you to wind down and just recenter yourselves.
Yes, and it's so important. It's
Very.
so important. Even if it's 5 minutes, guys, it's so important. And I always tell my clients, take a pause. I talk to people about taking a pause before you speak because
Yes.
once something is said, you can't take it back. But also take a
I like
pause but also take a pause for the chaoticness
that.
that's
Mhm.
in your mind. You know what I mean? So I think that that's very, very important, and that's the reason why I wanted you to repeat that because when you're moving so fast, Beverly, and you're trying to get so many things done, and we're trying to be entrepreneurs, we're trying to
Oh,
work a regular job, we're trying to be mothers, we're trying to be wives, everything. And I'm not just focusing just on the women, but for the men also.
yeah.
It is so
Yeah.
important for you to just take a pause, get
Yes.
up a few minutes earlier. It's nothing like sitting on the side of the bed and just sitting there and not having to do a damn thing for
Yes.
nobody
Oh,
for a
I'm
second.
telling you, it makes you so appreciative. Like
It
just to get to the
does.
bed, getting up out the bed to be so comfortable. Like, God,
Yes,
thank you.
something so simple, something so
Mhm.
simple. So, guys, please start just taking a pause, 5, 10 minutes, whatever you have, even if it's 3 minutes. You have to start somewhere
Yes.
so that you can be good for everybody else. Remember to fill your cup up first and then pour from the overflow from the saucer. That's
Ma'am.
the most
Yes,
important thing.
ma'am.
That's the most important thing. So, Beverly, what's next for you? Are there any new products or ideas that you're excited to create?
Yeah, so I actually, outside of the rice bags, which a lot of the things that I release is going to be under the business called House of Phoenix. I'm just starting it up right now, so definitely give me time, bear with me, but I'm going to be coming with rice bags, self-care bags, of course, but also decor, because one thing that I've recently gotten to as well is pillow making. Like, I love how one pillow can change the whole trajectory of an
Yes.
environment and make it something new. And so, that's something I recently gotten into. So that's also going to be featured under House of Phoenix. But other than that, that's really going to be the three things I start out with. So, but be looking out for more, definitely.
Absolutely. And when House of Phoenix is up and running, please feel free to come back so that we
Oh,
can talk
yes.
more about that and all the good things that you're doing. Now, as we're starting to wrap up, what message would you like to leave with women who are learning to prioritize their health and well being?
What I would like to say is make it about you. Make it about you. You don't have to be the gym girly that goes to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to be the person who is focused on losing weight all the time. And make it fun. Make it to where it's not a chore for you, because I think that's going to be the key to longevity when you get
Yeah.
into it. So focus on you, what you like. Add music in, and music is always fun when you add music.
Mhm.
So and don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I want to try making clay products one day. So just do anything that makes you happy, that helps you refrain from a lot of the chaotic things going on, especially in the USA with us, and so many separations going on right now.
Mhm.
Definitely prioritize it, as Myra said, because your health depends on it. You have
Yeah.
to do that. It really is a necessity. So
Yes, yes, it is. Well, Beverly, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your heart, your creativity, and your passion for helping others embrace natural wellness and self care. I truly appreciate your willingness to encourage women to listen to their bodies, explore holistic options, and make time for themselves. Thank
awesome.
you to everyone who tuned in to another episode of Moments with Myra. Remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish. I say that all the time. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, whether through rest, natural healing, or simply slowing down for a moment, taking that pause. Your wellness
Absolutely.
matters. Until
Absolutely.
next time, be kind to yourself, take care of one another, and keep creating moments that inspire, heal, and uplift. I'm Myra, and this has been Moments with Myra. See you next time.
See ya.